Hi, my name is Alejandra Martinez, and I teach 7th grade science at Memorial Junior High in Eagle Pass, Texas. I am currently aboard the EV Nautilus as a Science Communication Fellow for Expedition NA 156. This is SloMo the Sloth. He is my class mascot. My students follow him on social media, and he allows me to bring science to their everyday lives. This video is about everybody being able to do science. Sometimes we feel insecure about our abilities, and we think that people who are successful have it easy and that things aren't hard for them, but this is just not true. Everyone struggles with something, even sloths. Please enjoy.
SloMo had the unique opportunity to travel to Hawaii with the Ocean Exploration Trust, Corps of Explorers. He joined them on the EV Nautilus, home of ROV Hercules and Atalanta. This was SloMo's chance to become an ocean explorer, but he wondered, does he have what it takes? Can sloths do science even though they're a little slow? SloMo set out to find out. What does it take to be an explorer and a scientist? Over 2 weeks, SloMo learned the ins and outs of life aboard the ship, and he made so many different friends. From Taylor Ann, he learned about processing science samples that are collected from the ocean floor.
Hi, my name is Taylor Ann. I am the science manager aboard the Nautilus, and I've been with OET since 2019. I started as an ocean science intern.
Yeah, O2 was the first scoop, and then O4 was the second scoop.
My job on board is to manage all of the science data that we collect. So this goes from observations throughout the dive, all the way up to the samples that come up on the ROV, and I process them and make sure that it gets sent to the appropriate museums and labs for processing.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Definitely the wet lab. I love seeing all the samples that come up on the ROV, being able to describe them, take pictures of them, and making sure that they go where they're supposed to, and just following up on them and seeing what happens, what species they are, if we find anything new, and just the dating of rocks that we collect. It's really cool to be able to be a witness to the path of all these samples that we collect.
So is your job hard?
Oh yeah, it can be hard. It's like very, very challenging, but it's very exciting at the same time. So I'd say it's rewarding. It's challenging because of the amount of work and the pressure of handling these really, really precious samples and making sure that they're taken care of properly. So I'd say that part of it is hard, and then also just the time of being on 24-hour watches sometimes, and then having to come up and process samples for 4 hours until the sun rises. It can be a lot, but that's why the help of the team is really, really beneficial to just help me whenever I need it, to support either processing samples, helping me describe things, type up the dive reports and summaries. So it's definitely hard. Don't do it alone. I have a team of great people that help me. Science is something I've always been really interested in and had to work a lot harder for. So like in school, I really had to study a lot harder than other people did for exams just to get sometimes an average grade. But my passion is what kept me pushing forward. So if something's really hard for you, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. If it's something you like, I think you can just try to ask for help on how you can do it in different ways. Just get support from the people around you. That's what I've done.
SloMo couldn't believe it. Taylor Ann, who always helped us identify species we had never even heard of before, also thought science was hard sometimes. So, could SloMo do science?
Yeah, I think so. It's okay to take your time, especially with these samples. We want to take our time and be slow. We want to make sure that we're careful with everything that we're doing, and I think that's a benefit of being slow, is that you move methodically. That can be scientific as well. So there's nothing wrong with being a little bit slow. It's totally okay.
From Manel, he learned about video production.
Hi, my name is Manel Marangi. I am the video engineering intern here on the EV Nautilus. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland. I am responsible for, making sure that the ROV pilot can see what he's doing, or she see what they're doing. And so, I do zooms when I'm asked to, just, getting nice close-ups of the different animals and the different corals and sponges that we've been seeing, and, all that stuff. And then I'm also responsible for making sure that the channels that you guys see on nautiluslive.org, that they all look good. My favorite part of my job, I know that this is like so old and like rehashed, but it has to be the people I work with. Like, yeah, the zooms are cool and like the corals and the animals are cool and like that gives me a lot of excitement, but honestly just being part of a bigger team that has such cool objectives and missions, you know, like exploring the deep sea and just learning more about what, you know, the oceans have to offer is probably my favorite part. The hardest part of my job is making sure that everything is exactly as it should be, because, you know, video is so important on these missions. You know, we have to make sure that we can see what Herc and Atalanta are doing. So sometimes it can be, you know, there's a lot of buttons that I deal with on the daily. It's kind of like a broadcast center. So it can be a little nerve-wracking to make sure I'm showing exactly what we want to show and what we need to show at that moment. And also, you know, doing all the pre-dive checks and the post-dive checks. Sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, it's hard, you know? And I think that was something that I really had to, number one, accept, is that no matter what I do, it's probably gonna be hard. And that takes time and that takes, you know, your own journey. But, you know, I would also say it's so important to make sure that this is worth it, because I'm a huge believer in, you know, doing what you love as much as you possibly can, even if it's hard, you know? So what you need to do, and this isn't just for this career, this is for any career, you need to make sure you love it enough and you love the hard parts too, you know, because that's what makes a job worth it. You know, if you want to have this kind of job and you're young and you're like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, you really have to make sure that you love it warts and all.
So Manel stresses out sometimes too, and that's okay. It can even be fun once you see the results of all of your hard work.
Oh, absolutely, SloMo could do a job like mine. Especially, it's so important to know that, like, you know, slower sometimes is better, because that means you're being careful. That means that you know, you're making sure that everything is correct. It's a cliche, but slow wins the race, so yeah.
From Zach, he learned about data processing, which we use to create 3D models of our dive sites.
Hello everybody, my name is Zach Taylor. I live on the Big Island and go to graduate school at the University of Hawaii Hilo. Here on the ship, I work as a data logger, working with all the data team, where we're taking everything we see and observe during the dives, and then we put it into different data sets so we can come up with cool visuals for everybody to look at. My favorite thing is probably taking all the cool things we see and then making them into a new model and like a 3D model that people can interact with later.
And what's the hardest thing about your job?
The patience it takes. Because working with computers sometimes takes a while and can be messy, so there's a lot of sorting and organizing. So yeah, just be patient with the process.
Be patient and methodical. SloMo can definitely do that.
I say just go for it, because even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing, you actually know more than you realize. And no matter where you come from, you can do it. I grew up in a small state, Nebraska, in the middle of the US, and I'm out here doing this now, so if I can do this, I think anybody can do it.
From Rai, he learned how to pilot ROV Atalanta.
Alright, so SloMo, if you're going to be controlling Atalanta, you need to know a few things, alright? Hi, my name is Rai, and I am the ROV intern on this expedition, so I'm one of the people that's going to be piloting Atalanta, which is the bird's eye view of the other ROV. Favorite part of my job, probably right now, is actually getting to pilot Atalanta. I find that really fun, and it's really exciting to me, but also working with an amazing group of people that all seem to get along really well. Hardest part of my job is probably learning a new skill. I have had to learn a lot of new skills in my life, and every time it's a challenge, and just like synthesizing all that information is really difficult. Yeah, so your goal is when you're piloting Atalanta is to maintain a good look at Hercules and keep it in view at all times.
SloMo is totally up for learning new skills. It sounds like, to be a scientist, you don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to learn and keep trying.
I would say you are definitely smart enough and you are good enough. I failed grade 10 math the first time as a kid around, and a lot of the science courses that I had to take to get where I am, really, really difficult for me, and I had to try really, really hard. And so if you think that you're not smart enough, I guarantee that you are.
and from Human he learned about ROVs.
Hey, I'm Kuman Moeen. I'm an ROV engineering intern, and I'm a pilot for Atalanta, one of our ROVs. My job is controlling Atalanta, one of our ROVs underwater, and also doing maintenance and checks on the ROV. My favorite thing is exploring the deep sea and seeing things that, we don't know what's going to come up. The hardest part about my job is the amount of effort it takes and the amount of work put into getting there. You don't have to be some super genius to work in science. As long as you just put in the work and keep on trying, you'll make it there. Science is hard sometimes, but it's not scary. You'll get comfortable with it. SloMo can definitely do science.
Hard work, perseverance, and a willingness to learn. That is what it takes to be a scientist. It is hard sometimes, but that's okay. We need to remember it's hard for everyone at some point. The important thing is to lean on those you can learn from when the time comes, and to never give up.